Hey folks, Frank the Pestgeek here. What a week, and it's only Wednesday, and man, let me tell you, it's hectic, brother. Growing any business, just managing it. Forget about growing it. Even if I get at least one call a week. Hey man, I'm wanting to scale my business and I want to learn to delegate. I mean, I literally, and I want to market. Those are the top three things. How do I scale my business? How do I delegate, learn to delegate? How do I market? And I need a marketing plan. And then the other third one is I can't find anybody to hire. I mean, I'm in at least, I'm not joking, at least 100 Facebook groups just watching all the conversations, and this is not just in pest control. This is in landscape groups, inspector groups, house cleaning groups, plumbing groups, HVAC groups, door groups. And I just watch the conversations. And it's the same difference between being in a group as big as the cemetery and as small as, I feel like I'm getting bit by a mosquito out here, but I'm not. It's just an inch on my foot. Sorry, guys. And as small as the solo group. And there seems to be, as human beings, we tend to be very polarizing. It's either CNN or Fox. There's no middle group. Even the Bible says, I would rather you be hot or cold, because you're not hot or cold, you're lukewarm, I'm going to spew you out of my mouth. There seems to be no way of creating balance where you're either an independent solo or you are a large company. And of course, in reality, in between the two, there is a $1 billion company here and a guy doing $150,000 over here. And in between that, there is a myriad of variations, but it seems to be those are the top three things. Is I want to grow the business, I want to scale. Now the buzzword is scale. I want to scale. You realize that most businesses that require heavily employees are not scalable. I mean, everybody wants to read the book. I got the book Scaling Up. I read it. I read the book. I have the audio book. When you look at scaling, and I'll get into this, and I'll get into why, there is a mosquito out here biting me, little shit. When you look at scaling, it requires that there is a solid foundation with a solid plan and SOPs across the board, where the business has matured in such a way that it is now very profitable, and then you're able to then take everything that is implemented. You have accounting systems, you have SOPs for accounting systems, you have SOPs for sales systems, you have SOPs for marketing systems, you have SOPs for hiring systems, you have SOPs for service systems. You have an SOP, and you have already a sales force. You already have a technical force. You already have a marketing team and a marketing department that's working. You already have an accounting and financial system that you get financial reporting in real time on what is actually happening. Without that in place, you can forget about that word scaling. Because once you start to scale, your costs immediately go up. When you have to hire a technician for $50,000, then you have to buy a truck, buy equipment, and then you have to do additional marketing to immediately boost up. It's kind of like when you're opening up a new branch. 50% of the cost of operating that branch is going to be in sales and marketing to open up a new branch. It isn't going to be just the equipment, like when you're starting up as a solo operator and you're buying a piece of equipment and you're buying the cheapest truck you can buy and you're doing all this, and then now you have zero money for marketing, zero marketing for advertising, and you're asking, how do you get clients? I said, the easiest way is you go knock on doors, because that's free. It requires no money to knock on doors. You have no customers and you have a crap load of time on your hands. But I don't like it. I don't want to do door to door. I said, well, okay, then do thumbtack. It doesn't work because I get 13 calls and I don't do termite. I don't do bee service. I don't do animal removal. I don't do any of these, and these guys are sending me all these crappy leads. And therefore, once remember that Google and everybody in the world uses now categories versus keywords. This is where people don't understand the marketing part, and especially about SEO, is that it's going to categories and really long tail. In other words, the keyword is no longer just pest control. It's pest control near me, pest control company near me, but pest control and pest control service is a category, and under that category is ants, roaches, fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, animal control, bats, termite, and everything else, everybody, because understand that the customer, the end user customer, is not an expert on what it is that you do or don't do. And the customer is looking for pest control because to him, animal removal is a pest. Termite is a pest. Rodent is a pest. Bees are a pest. Anything that bothers them, they have no clue. They're going online, Googling pest control near me. They're not going, give me a wildlife control company that specializes in raccoon removal and bat guano. That's internal technical terminology. The customer doesn't think like that. The customer is going for pest control. So the customer calls a place, and Thumbtack does an enormous amount of marketing in your area, cannibalizes the market to get that lead because they have to advertise on Google to get that lead. Therefore, the keyword price goes up for everybody else because they decided there's enough business in that market for them to go after it. They go after it. It costs them $6, $7, $8 a click to get. They got to charge you $15 a call to get it, and they got to send it to 3 other guys to compete in order to get $36 ROI on that call because they spend an enormous amount of marketing and resources, and they have internal costs, and they need to mark it up 3x. So now you get 10 calls, and it costs you between $150 and $130 and $150 to get 10 calls. And now you only closed 2 of those calls because you don't do the other stuff. It was a wasted call. So the average cost to get that. Now you have to add to that the sales cost of going out. What does it cost for you to go out to give that estimate to then not close it because your sales skills aren't there? And then what is your ability not only to close that sale, but it'll then add on, hey, by the way, there's bat guano in there, and we're going to seal that hole, we're going to repair it, we're going to remove the bats, but guess what? I'm going to recommend that you remove that attic insulation, do a sanitation treatment, and how much is this going to cost? 10 grand. And look the customer in the eye and say, it's going to cost you 10 grand. It's going to cost you 15 grand. And now that $150, that $15 lead just made you 10 grand because of your ability to sell and your ability to upsell the client. I'm not going to tell anybody that because that's offensive. No, that's offensive to you. You can't decide to say no for the client and then wonder why you're starving. Your job is to say, okay, listen, you don't want to do the replacement for the insulation? Got it. Here is the price just to remove the bats and seal it. I'm giving you an example. You show up to a house and you know there's termites in those areas. You know there's subterranean termites. And you show up to the house to quote a GHP and you didn't offer the mosquito service because you're in summer. And you didn't offer the client, hey, by the way, we also do termite prevention and monitoring, and I'm going to sell you a CenterCon system or whatever system you want to sell, and sell the client on upgrading to a baiting system as a preventive with an annual inspection, and now you turn that $150 cost and you got $1,500 out of it. It's your inability to sell, not the ability from the company to provide you the leads. So I don't like to knock on doors because it's invasive. I don't like my door being knocked on. I don't like being upsold, therefore I don't upsell. Basically, everything you dislike in the world, you are projecting it on your clients and telling your clients they don't want it. And one of the things I've learned of 35 years of being in sales is that you never say no for the client, and you don't stop selling until the customer says stop. You go into the jewelry store to buy a watch. The watch is $13,000. The salesman says, by the way, for only $1,000 more, I've got this set of pen and pencil. Mont Blanc. And he upsells you because you're spending $15,000 on a Rolex, $13,000 to $18,000 on a Breitling, and he's going to try to upsell you. By the way, we have a warranty, a service warranty. Anything happens to this watch within the next 10 years, you can repair it anywhere in the world that you find yourself, and it's going to cost you this much. You're not in the business of sales and marketing. You got to get out of the mentality that you're in the business of bat removal and bat guano removal, that you're in the business of doing business, and that you're in a sales and marketing business that happens to sell pest control, bat removal, this, that, and the other. And until you get that, you will always be in the position that you're in. And if you want to grow, then you have to learn sales and marketing. If Thumbtack works and you say, okay, I'm going to get the lead, but you got to be, this is you 24/7 from the time you get your butt out of bed at 4 in the morning, late to bed, early to rise, work like hell, and advertise. And you have this phone that is tied to you. It's literally, this is inserted into your brain. And now that call comes in and your only job is to make sure that phone gets answered when a Thumbtack customer calls you. You don't take, I literally answer my phone while I'm in the bathroom taking a dump. You wonder why people are stressed. If you want it to work, you have to always learn how the system works, and then you work the system. That is it. You're wondering how people don't work, live off of welfare, Section 8, food stamps. They learned to work the system. You may not like it. You're anti that. I don't care. It doesn't make a difference to that person because they're still milking the system. They're getting paid. They're happy while you're miserable looking at them going, it's not fair. It's not right. I got news for you. Nothing on this earth is fair and right. That's one of the things you got to get over. Until you die and go to heaven, things will be fair and right in heaven. Until then, everything on this earth is unfair. The world system is designed to trap you and keep you trapped, and you got to figure out how you work that system. I don't care if it's Angie's List. Work one thing. Work that one thing until you figure it out, stick with it, and $2,000-$3,000. The problem is you sign up for Thumbtack, and after a week you're frustrated. You don't understand how it works. You never bothered to talk to anybody. Here's what'll happen. Okay, you'll go to every group and you'll post it. What do you guys think about Thumbtack? And everybody will tell you to run. Then you speak to a guy like Tom Miche and says, yes, it works. Here's how it works. He learned how to work the system. I've got Luke Lewis at Naturepest, who started out with that. We were having conversations. I said, Luke, I don't want to do it. I don't want to be strapped to my phone anymore. And I don't want to wake up at 2 in the morning when there's a call and have a missed call, because I don't have a 24-hour answering service system. And there's one phone attached to this. And if you don't answer it, and you don't take the lead, and you don't quote it, it's going to go to your competition. The moment that you miss that call and you're calling back 5 minutes later, they're going to tell you, I'm sorry, I already found somebody. That is the reality of getting these systems to work, is that you got to figure out how these systems work, make them work for you, learn it, and then say, okay, I'm going to pump more money into that. It's going to require more calls, but I'm 54 years old, Frank. I'm not going to do that. When you're 20-something and you're adventurous and you're 30, like I was, 20-something and 30-something, yeah, I worked 80 to 100 hours a week. I'll be damned if I'm going to work 80 to 100 hours a week at my age. As a matter of fact, I'm trying to cut down to mostly 30 to 40 hours, tops. And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. If it doesn't get done, it isn't getting done. I'm not jumping in there and working 60 hours a week anymore. I'm 53 years old. I got gray hairs. I'm have to manage my stress. I don't want to have a heart attack at 65 and not enjoy what I've built. I'm going to go to the pool now. I'm going to get in there. It's about 2:30 in the afternoon. My son gets out at 3:30 from school. I'm going to go get in the hot tub. I'm going to relax. I answered all the calls this morning, wrote up all the quotes, got the schedules done, rearranged this, rearranged that. I'll take a break for 2 hours. And if I miss a call, I'll call people back. And if people want me to answer a phone 24/7, they can hire a national brand. The thing is, when people are calling me, I built a niche, and I have a niche business with a USP, with a blue ocean strategy that's actually scalable now. After 7 years, it's scalable because I have systems in place. I have everything in place. It took that long. But I am not the guy that's going to do it. I'm going to get me some 20-something, 30-something-year-old that's hungry, that wants to make the money, and let him hustle it. And I'll provide the infrastructure, the system, the support for everything else. But I'll be damned if I'm going to go crazy. I got criticized the other day. I'm going to do another video on it. I just hired a new technician. And in the next video, we're going to discuss that. Of how I hired a new technician and how I train differently now. But fundamentally, my SOPs are in place. I actually improved our SOPs. I've made them simpler, because the hardest thing to do is simplify. The hardest thing to do is simplify. We can easily make everything so complicated. And the problem is that, there's two stories. Either I keep everything I do a secret and I don't tell anybody, or I share what I do, and then I have to put up with everybody who doesn't understand my business. They don't even listen to my podcast. They just they don't listen to what I've done. They don't know what I've done for the last 7 years. I have my listeners, my followers who do know, and they understand when I say things what I'm talking about. In other words, they have no context. And you know what? I can't worry about everybody in the world that doesn't understand, and I'm not going to write a 2,500 word post on Facebook to describe everything I'm doing and why I do it and my methodology and my train of thought in this and all this. You're getting a blurb, 144 characters, 160 characters. If you're lucky, I give you 200. And then I let you have fun at it. And then you give me so much material from my podcast that isn't even funny. But I observe everything that's going on. I'm listening, observing. I have a way to just reverse engineer things, understand them. And I don't care to be the largest company, but I got to grow my business because I want to be able to retire one day, sell it off, make a good chunk of change, have enough. And I want to, I'm putting, in other words, my next 10 years, I want to recommend something to you. This is where my strategy was. And I actually saw a video last night. I was watching a Netflix series, The Arnold Schwarzenegger. How he went from bodybuilding, devoted himself for 6 years to build his body up, to devote himself to 10 years of bodybuilding, to then say, I want to be an actor, devote 10 years to being an actor, and then say, I want to go into politics, and devote himself the rest of his life into politics. You know, took me 10 years to build up this podcast, 9 years to build up the business, really build it up in the pest control, because I had a landscape business, a pool business. And when I was young, I was going crazy. I had all the time and all the energy in the world. And now, I don't have that energy. I have to be smarter. So I've been creating a platform for myself, for 10 years to plan out the next 10 to 15 years. So that's how I've done it. That was my strategy. But I have patience. I am not desperate. I know I can go out and sell. I can always be a salesperson and devote myself just to selling. But I built a platform for 10 years, and now my next 10, 15 years into my retirement years of saying, I'm going to go into consulting, and I'm going to go into teaching and training while my business still provides all of my income. So in other words, like Arnold did, he said, you know, I didn't care if I didn't get any parts in Hollywood, because I built up a real estate business that was providing me millions of dollars. He was already a millionaire before he became an actor. And that's how you have to do it. You have to decide, do I want to grow my pest control business? This is always the question. I'm having this conversation daily. I get a message and I pick up the phone and I call, say, hey, bro, what do you mean by that? And we have conversations with multiple pest control people around the country, because I'm always interested in what people are thinking and why. You either grow your business, invest all your money into your business to grow it, or you start out really young in your 20s and 30s. You take all of the profit and invest it in something else long-term, like real estate. I got a guy right now I'm talking to. We talk every single day. Just about. Dude, I'm just not going to care about building a large pest control company. I'm just going to take my money and I'm going to invest it, and I'm going to either flip houses, because I can. Flip a house, and if I make $40,000 extra a year flipping a house, that's an extra $40,000 a year. Do it twice, that's $80,000 a year. So now I'm making $180,000 a year on 2 flipped houses, because I already make $100,000 from the pest control business. Or he can put it into an Airbnb, and buying a house, drop $150,000 into it to upgrade it, put it on Airbnb and make $12,000 a month. Hire a real estate manager. Yeah, I have a client that has at least 10 to 12 properties. Here's a phone call. I'm going to be getting back to them in a minute. So this is what I can do. I can take these minute breaks, and I can take 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I'll go to the pool, relax, get back, get on my phone, call people back. It's more relaxed than being out on the road. I'll be damned if I'm going back on a regular basis into a truck in the field to go run a route on a regular basis and burn myself out that way. Not at my age, baby. You got to be smarter than that, folks. You got to do things that are right for you. Stop letting everybody tell you how they're going to run their business. Figure out one thing that you're going to do. One thing that you're going to do for the next 3 to 6 months, that you're going to figure out, that you're going to invest several $1,000s in, to learn to do it. Do it effectively, and then think, who do I hand this off to after I've gotten it done? And you're going to find that, yes, you do have to learn to hire. You have to learn to prospect customers, employees. You're going to have to learn to onboard them. You're going to have to learn to background check them. You're going to have to learn how to do HR recruiting in 5 steps, and then figure out how you hire somebody. And if you have to hire somebody part-time, wouldn't you rather hire a person for 8 hours a day or twice a week for 4 hours, 5 hours, and take 8 to 10 hours of your time off of your plate so that you can breathe a little bit, instead of saying, I got to hire a full-time employee because you read in all the posts, nobody's going to work part-time. I wouldn't do it. You own a pest control business. Of course you're not going to do it, idiot. That's a stupid comment. I wouldn't do it. You wouldn't do it because you're 40-something, 50, and you have a lot of experience. But there's plenty of people out there who are hungry, young, who are going to college, who would work for you 2 days a week, but you have to learn to deal. But if you're 53 and you say, I can't hire a 20-something year old because nobody wants to work, you have a defeatist mentality, brother. This is why you can't get it done, because nobody will work. Yes, there's some people who work. Yes, it's going to take you 3 months. Yes, it's going to take you 3 months. It's not because I'm reading in all the posts, in all of these groups, in every single type of group. I put an ad out, and out of 12 applicants, this one mosquito is driving me nuts. Out of 12 applicants, my ADD, my OCD, ADHD, CRS, and every other acronym you want to throw in there to get me distracted, mosquito. It's like I'm watching him because I know he's going to eat me. I'm telling you, bro, it isn't easy being me. 3 months, and it's like 12 applicants, contacted 3 of them, and only 1 contacted me back. And I said, and did you get an appointment? And did he show up? And did you hire him? And chances are no, because chances are you're going to need 36 applicants. And everybody's asking, how the heck did you get 36 applicants? I put it out on Indeed. Well, the platform is geared to people who are constantly looking to jump ship, because 60-something% of people are looking to jump ship right now. They're not happy where they're at. If they get $18 an hour, they figure they're worth $20 an hour somewhere else, and they'll keep trying. And they're going to waste your time because they're not really looking to move. Listen to me. They're not really looking to move or get hired by somebody else. They're looking to see what somebody else is willing to offer them, so that they can say, well, I got an offer from this company. Can you match it, Mr. Boss? And they're using you for a comp, just like HOAs and businesses use you for a comp. It says, I don't intend really to switch, but I need 3 estimates in order for me to pass this through the board. And you got to learn to work the system, and the system is working you, and you're disappointed in people's lack of integrity, and this is just a world we live in, and this is the new reality. People are going to ghost you. People are going to quit over text. They're not going to show up to work, and you got to make decisions all day long, and this is how you end up with gray hairs and no hair on your head. This is the reality. So, I decided, I'm talking to Eric, and I said, Eric, I think I'm gonna create a podcast, because the content, we can use content across multiple platforms, and create a podcast called the Entrepreneurial Podcast, cutting through all the BS in business, because there's so many people full of BS who have never operated a business, never run a business, giving advice on business. Like I'm in one of the cleaning groups. Should I do an LLC? Is it worth it? And everybody in there who is a single cleaner, who really is financially illiterate, giving advice on saying, well, I'm licensed and insured, I don't need an LLC. You don't know if that person on the other side owns a home. You don't know their financial situation. Would I get an LLC? Yeah, because it costs you $150 to get an LLC and $150 a year somewhere to renew it. Put an S corp in it, or a C corp, and for tax strategy. But these guys are not planning to go past themselves. Why are you giving advice on something that is not? I say always, hey, look, contact your CPA. The only one that knows your financial situation really is your CPA. I mean, we got financially illiterate people going into business, business illiterate people going into business, thinking that if they just build it, somebody's going to come. You're being sold a field of dreams. What I'm telling people now is, look, no amount of pumping sunshine up your tailpipe is going to have you crap out a purple unicorn, which is what everybody's trying to sell. It's the everybody can be a pest control millionaire. And over here, on this end of the spectrum, it's not worth all the headaches. That's why I never. That's basically your 2 spectrums. Somewhere in the middle, there's solid business training, solid management skills, solid financial reporting, solid sales and management strategies that help you grow, but you have to learn all of them. And if you didn't have any of those experiences, you're not going to do it in 3 years unless you have an entrepreneurial DNA that allows you to quickly adapt and say, oh, okay, and I'm borderline narcissistic, and I could care less if anybody suffers. I don't care if my people are working 12, 15-hour days. I'm going to ride them to death because I need to make the income so I can build that next route, and I don't care. I'm not going to run myself ragged. There are things that are a DNA in people that are there, that if you want to do it and you want to grow your business, you're going to have to learn some things. It's going to take you 5, 6, 7, maybe 10 years. Do you, at 53 years old that you started, 50 years old, I'm getting calls, do you have the time to do this and run in a truck for 5 years? Do you have the energy, the strength to go in a truck for 5 years, 3 years, hire your first guy, stay minimal, not live in a big house? You don't have a wife that makes $80,000 a year or a spouse that makes $80,000 that can support you through that growth process. Go live in an apartment somewhere, eat crap for 5 years, take every penny that you earn, put it back into the business so you can grow. Or do you say, no, I need to make 50, 60, 70, because honestly, to tell you the truth, $80,000 a year that it used to take to live in Florida doesn't buy you anything. $100,000 doesn't buy you anything. So unless you and your wife are making $150,000 in South Florida combined, you get to live more like everybody else. So you have to have clear strategy, clear motivation. What it is, stop saying I have this goal when it's really a pipe dream. It's not a real goal. A goal is, hey, I'm getting right now 4 sales a week, 5 sales a week. I need 10 sales a week. I would rather you focus on how you get an extra 2 sales a week and an extra 3 and then an extra 4 than say I want to grow to 360,000 because the magic number is 500,000. That's such a big goal that is not obtainable for most people, because you can't fathom all of the systems that need to be in place that you don't have in place, that you don't know how to put in place in order to get to that step. So the question is, bro, instead of how do I create a marketing strategy, is what tactics could I do in the next 90 days or the next 6 months that I can implement that is easily duplicatable and simple enough that if I hand it off to anybody can do it. That would be the focus. If you want to grow and you don't have all the skills, you got to acquire the skills over time. You have to be patient and you have to be kind to yourself. And one of the things that I'm known for not being is patient. This is Frank the Pest Geek wishing you a spectacular day.